Radical.
So one thing that happens during lawsuits is a thing I believe called discovery. It might be called something else. But a lot of things come out about a company when there's lawsuits, when things go to court. And the positive is Microsoft, positive for them, is it looks like the Activision merger or acquisition to them. The negative is a lot of things, a lot of details came out. Some of which, let's see if I can remember. I think they're releasing an Xbox Series X that does not have the disk drive. There's a couple other bits that came out, but I don't want to really kind of discuss that. I want to talk about these two statements from Phil Spencer about a possible acquisition of none other than Nintendo. Philly says, I don't think a hostile action would be a good move. So we are playing the long game. But our board of directors has seen the full write-up on Nintendo and Valve, and they are fully supportive on either if the opportunity arises, as am I. At some point, getting Nintendo would be a career moment. It's just taken a long time for Nintendo to see that their future exists off of their own hardware. A long time. Also to this, it came out that Microsoft actually made a offer to Nintendo back in the 90s, and they laughed for like an hour. Must have been a lowball offer. You know, I work on the weekends at the flea market. I got a store at the flea market, for some of you listening who don't know. And sometimes I want to laugh when I get a lowball offer on a game or something. Like, really? Really $5 for that game? No, bro, it's 20. See the sticker? It's 20. You know, that's not even like reasonable lowballing. Like, oh, I see 20 on there. Well, you take 5. I'll give you 5. No. So I'm curious. I just don't have the number of what Microsoft offered Nintendo back in the 90s, but I can damn sure guarantee you Nintendo's worth a whole lot, even with inflation and everything. They're worth a whole lot more money right now than they were in the 90s. I mean, buying Nintendo, Microsoft's huge and everything. Not saying they couldn't do it, but it just seems like Nintendo's way too big. And if anything, the Federal Trade Commission, they'd be sniffing around an acquisition like that, because we're not talking about just buying up Bethesda or Activision or something like that. We're talking about buying, one of the heavy hitters in the gaming space. If you add in collectively the past 40 years, Nintendo is the heaviest hitter in the gaming space. So I can get why Microsoft wants to buy Nintendo. They're also interested in Valve. So, what happens if Microsoft acquires Valve and Nintendo? Shit, I'm thinking about that game Katamari Damacy, where you go around just acquiring, you become this huge, gigantic, planet-sized ball and shit. I've never played the game, but I've seen that. Is that a decent analogy? I'm not sure. Or like Galactus just devouring worlds and worlds. Damn, man. I don't see it happening. It's pie in the sky, positive thinking for Philly Spencer and everything, but you would. Yeah, I just don't see it happening, man. Nintendo is in no position where they need to sell. They're going to continue making money for a long time. Look at how many stupid people paid $50 for that Game & Watch. For fuck's sake. They release anything and stamp Mario or Pokemon on it, and it makes just money. It makes so much money. The stupid little overpriced toys, the amiibos, whatever they do, they can't stop making money. So what would be in it for them? It would have to be some kind of deal to where, they would still have to get some residuals from the sales. So what? Microsoft wants to get them off their hardware. Hell, when it comes to Nintendo, the uniqueness is in their hardware, right? I mean, sometimes they have hits and misses, specifically the Wii U, but the Switch, I mean, like, it's been a massive success. Massive success. So I would only understand it if Microsoft hit hard times and they needed to sell to Microsoft. But, when you're on top of the world like Nintendo is, you're basically just like in the 90s, you're going to laugh heartily at Microsoft wanting you. Kind of like a supermodel and like a scrub basically just, saying, well, you know what? It would be nice to acquire that supermodel, but like, nah, brother, you ain't getting Nintendo. Philly, sorry. A Mario is not for you.